come to the bold analysis. If the Kisii Governor Paul Simba Arati will vie to seek re-election with the ODM party, then he will likely lose that election because of fading Raila influence in the Amagusi, Bagusi community. And the hostility that today happened in Kisii that forced Raila Odinga to cancel his attendance is a clear message on his fading influence. And in this podcast, I am going to look at why Raila constituency is fading. But before that, guys, I want to say thank you very much for supporting this channel. As I said, we are here in Egerton, and I am asking you to partner with us to respond to a distress and to respond to support a mother of three, Mary Nyambura. Mary was actually working in Saudi Arabia some time back, and she was pushed from third floor, fell and broke the spinal cord. So this took toll on her, and when she came back into the country, she came back in the country helpless and in a wheelchair. She can barely walk because this has really affected her health. Now, Mary depends on well-wishers. But something interesting here is when she came back akiwa anafanya kazi huko, kuna pesa aliweka kidogo akanunua shamba. So when she came back and she has the children, the husband who was around her atalimuona kwa wheelchair and disowned her. So she doesn't have a strong support system back home, having the husband left and akamwacha kwa hiyo wheelchair. So as we talk now, we are here to help put up a house for her. Kwa sababu, depending on well-wishers, she's currently a bit stranded of even taking care of her bills and sorting out the residentials where she was actually staying. So we took it upon ourselves that, guys, let us rescue Mary from this distress so that she can find at least a place to lay her head and call home. I was a bit touched by a story because despite of these challenges, she's been part and parcel of our journey to support other people. And I want to say thank you very much for your feedback. For the last 2 days, I said we had started, and the little we got, we were able to consolidate the materials that were needed, and we started the work. And by this evening of Friday evening, those who are building, because huku tunatumia mawe, this is where it had reached. Now, our plan is that by tomorrow, we should be able to add up the other materials that are needed for the wall and have a deficit of 57,000. If you can be able to collect 57,000 by today and tomorrow, tutaweza kumaliza ili that wall ishe. From tomorrow, we mobilize for how we can do the roof. Then on Sunday, we can mobilize for dirisha na milango. And then on Monday, we'll finish up na plaster so that on Tuesday evening, I should be out of my way as I leave the David to take care of the house to make sure kwamba nyumba imeweza kujengwa. We'll only come back then to hand it over. So we've done this before. We've done this before, guys. Kindly come and join us in whatever way. Hakuna kidogo. And I want to say thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for responding to our distress, to touch a life, to change a life, because this is what we do. Apart from political analysis, we respond to support the society when need arises.
On first born yakwa etagwo Nyambura niwe wetagwo Zieta one Danieli Njoroge niwe second born na heo mutari kuo tafadhali mundeithie gwaka na Ngai nĩakũmũrathima. Yes, now
Kisii rally was skipped by Edwin Sifuna, the Secretary General, who was supposed to arrive alongside Raila Odinga. I need to remind you that the rally that was held in Kisii by ODM party is a continuation of the rally that was done in August. It was in Kakamega, that was hosted by Fernandez Baraza, and the same had also been held in Busia, hosted by Paul Otuoma. And it's in preparation for the ODM at 20 celebrations that is supposed to be held in Mombasa, October next month, October in the coast. So this is a continuation of that, and it's part of preparing the ground. Another context here, this was the first rally that ODM was holding after Raila Odinga hosted the ODM party parliamentary group and announced that he would make ODM party will field a presidential candidate. And your guess is as good as mine that if ODM is to field a presidential candidate, then that is Raila Odinga. So this was the rally to test the ground and, of course, to speak the Raila agenda that didn't go through. However, Kisii event turned very hostile. You must remember that their son, Fred Okengo Matiang'i, has also announced his ambition to go for the top seat. And so that brings a very critical dynamic to the politics of the country and the politics of the region. They mobilized. But as you can still realize that no single elected leader on ODM ticket from Kisii attended that event, starting with the Senator Onyonka, Anthony Kibagendi, and several others, including a host of some of the MCAs who even traveled to State House to meet the president. And it is very clear, that is why I started by saying that if the way Matiang'i is pushing his politics, those who stick to the old ODM playbook may not make it. And probably just to give you a glimpse of what I'm talking about, I want you to look at the arrival. The moment Simba Arati arrived in that venue, and he received a very hostile reception.
Karibu sana. Jeshi ya baba. Wacha kutupa vitu tafadhali. Wacheni kutupa vitu. Jeshi ya Raila Odinga. Jeshi ya baba. Bogi ya baba. Baba. Sini wa baba. Gavana wetu Simba Arati. Jeshi ya baba. Jeshi ya baba. Wewe kijana, wacha kutupa vitu hapa. Security ingia hapo ndani.
Shikilia selector.
Sini wa baba. Jeshi ya baba.
Wewe hapa utafanya adabu. Weka hiyo kiti chini na usijaribu kurusha chochote hapa. Unafikiri tumekuja kuchoma mahindi hapa? Weka hiyo kitu chini. Ala. Wangapi wanakaribisha naibu wa kinara wetu Paul Simba Ara?
Jeshi ya baba, selector tuende kazi. Selector, jeshi ya baba. Selector, jeshi ya baba.
Shikilia selector, shikilia. Shikilia selector. Wewe sikiliza. Hii sherehe huwezi simamisha. Wacha nikuambie, haiwezekani. Wacha kurusha hiyo kiti kwanza. Wacha kwanza wewe.
Wacha.
Wewe. Haya sawa.
Haya sawa.
Haya. Sawa. Wewe. Wewe sikia. Hiyo kipindi unajaribu ni ya zamani. Ilipitwa na wakati. Sisi watu wa chama tunajijua. Tujijui. Tunajitambua, tujitambui. Haya, weka hiyo kiti chini. Maafisa wetu wa usalama, tuko na katiba na mnajua kuifuata. Haya, ili tuone wageni wanavyoingia, kwanza weka hiyo kiti chini nani. Chris. Asante. Weka hiyo chini kwanza. Hakuna kitu mpya chini ya jua. Hakuna kitu mpya. Hii sherehe itafanyika vile ilipangwa. We nani, weka kiti chini bwana. Ni nini? Ulikuja kukalia kiti ama kubeba kiti? Weka hiyo kiti chini. Huyo amebeba hiyo ya blue hapo katikati huyo. Wewe weka hiyo kiti chini wewe.
Aya, jeshi ya baba.
Shikilia. Tuko sawa. Tuendelee tusiendelee. Ule ametuzuia kuendelea ni huyo amebeba hii kiti moja hii. Hii kiti moja hii, huyu ndio ametuzuia. Huyu ametuzuia ni huyo mbeba hii kiti moja.
And just to show you that Odinga's goods is cooked and in fact association with William Ruto is coming at a very huge cost. Today, if you look at this story that has just come, protesters camp outside Raila's current home, demand his intervention over grabbed 2,000 acre of Ngong land. The residents accused some senior government officials of allegedly participating in the grabbing over 2,000 acres of prime land in Kibiku, Ngong. The protesters claimed that several senior government officials were at the center of the grabbing of the property worth 2 billion and that they grabbed the land with the help of Ministry of Land officials. While camping outside Raila's home, the protesters criticized Land's Principal Secretary Nixon Korir and Head of Public Service Felix Kosgei for their reluctance to address the stalemate. During the protest, they demanded the immediate resignation of PS Korir and, on the other hand, saying that he must leave. They also accused Kajiado West Member of Parliament George Sunkuya of reportedly orchestrating the grabbing of the land, which they claim they rightfully inherited from their forefathers. Now, this is a red flag. Much as Raila says, I am not in government and I'm not in this, but do you see that when there is a public uproar, people are rushing to his current residence? I believe that if these angered residents are looking for people to look for, they can just go straight to, why don't they protest to State House? Or why don't they protest to Alice Wahome's home? Or to Nairobi governor or to the governor's residence? But they opted for Raila Odinga's residence. So this really means that Odinga will be at the target. Like, he's not a minister for land. Probably he's not even key at the center of all this. But when someone is protesting, someone is looking for him. That is why we are saying that really association with the President Ruto at this time came at a very huge cost. The mobilization had been done from even the neighboring Homa Bay County, from Kasipul. There was huge delegation of the ODM people that were carried from Kasipul and Oyugis, that is what we've established, to attend the rally. Every other leader was there. But when Simba Arati was coming, remember, that was Kisii. That is his home ground. But if you look at the kind of reception that he received, it is a very clear sign that they are disapproving his association with the ODM party. And even though he's a deputy party leader, it did not matter. The kind of reception that the county boss received in his own county is a red flag. And I know that his team, his political advisors team, would have to sit down and review those files so that they can make sense of the whole situation. Is it really worth it sticking with the ODM? But I'll explain why that is it. Junet Mohammed is the person that spoke later after that, trying to communicate and sell the ODM agenda. And I want you to look at the crowd. That was their paid crowd that was having the orange colors with all sorts of people and women there. But when Junet was trying to explain his side of the story, no one was really attached to it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a clear sign. I've looked at that audience and you can see some sense of tiredness. They are tired. And if you listen to the messaging, the messages from the rhetoric, let me say the messaging, the rhetoric from the ODM team who are in Kisii, there seems to be nothing new. They're not oozing hope. They're not showing anything new. And really, when Arati started talking, this is what happened.
Anaitwa Judas Mohamed, tayari amewasili. Gladys Wanga kama na Homa Bay. Mheshimiwa Simba Arati. Kama na Simba Arati. Judas Mohamed. Kama na Mama Gladys Wanga. Jeshi ya baba.
Watu waketi chini. Na kama unataka uketi chini, mlango iko wazi kule. Watu waketi chini hapa. Kila mtu achukue kiti na aketi chini. Kila mtu. Huyo mmoja ashughulikiwe hivyo, lakini tunafanini. Keti chini. Kila mtu aketi chini. Hawa bwana hapa keti chini. Keti chini. Hii timu keti chini. Keti chini. Yoyote ambaye ni mwizi haisabiki hapa ndani. Wote ambaye ni mwizi asikae hapa ndani. Watu waketi chini. Watu warudi waketi chini hapa. Haya, DJ, kuendelee.
And not so many other speakers made their speeches there. And chaos, the issue of kutupa Izoviti emerged again, sending a message of disapproval. From this, there is some three interpretations I would want to make before I explain why Raila is losing his zones. The audience there was a mixture of the people from Abagusi and those who had been mobilized from Migori, neighboring Migori and Homa Bay counties. But why do you think the Arati received a hostile reception? Arati receiving a hostile reception is, number one, a message that they see him as a traitor because he cannot associate with the ODM party while Fred Okengo Matiang'i is vying for presidency. That is one clear interpretation as to why he received that kind of reception. Number two, it also shows that the ODM patronage, the ODM spirit, remember the party spirit is fading off in the Kisii region. And those who probably are looking at it from the point of that is the party will use for the next general election, but actually find it very rough to try to make their way. A decision was made quickly because Odinga was supposed to be the chief guest. And while they were to take off from Nairobi, that rally was cancelled. And because of that hostility, Odinga could not make his way to Kisii. And, you know, that is the person who wants to vie for presidency. And this is a very clear message that needs to go down to the party portfolio, the rank and file, that, you know, we've been talking about this, that Odinga has gotten away with so many handshakes. But what is so different with this one? That the Raila mania seem to be unforgiving, seem not to be forgiving him. And that's why I want to explain in these 4 reasons why Raila has lost, or Raila is losing, his fan base. Number 1, the Odinga, there seems to be political fatigue on Raila politics. You know, there is this, it's a narrative that has been peddled for quite so long. And I see Odinga not getting away with it. They've been saying that he is a man who wants power but does not want responsibility. The script is a bit more predictable. And while Odinga speaks of, you know, I am together and I've been sticking around for all that, the people are not seeing his chances to presidency. You know, even that audience, even that Raila base will only be enthusiastic about it if they see, yes, we are following and we have our chances of clinching the presidency. But without clearly those chances, someone, that does not make real sense. The other issue I can see here is dining with Ruto disguised as making the country stable and governable. To that extent, he was right that we have a country. But when the decision of moving forward, of now getting a deal, he is the person who is supporting a deal. The other day, Adani, the other day he was meeting the ODM pigeon, he supported the Adani deal. Or rather, legitimizing some of the policies that the public feels are hurting them, really, is what decimates his narrative, or rather his statement that I am just making the government be stable. That is not it. You are part and parcel of that. And I think some of the wrath that Odinga is facing is the hostility that should be meted towards President Ruto. The other factor is the rebel voices emerging from Odinga's inner circle. One of critical one is Nairobi. Babu Owino wants to be governor of Nairobi. ODM party is showing signals of giving that ticket to another candidate and not Babu Owino. And Edwin Sifuna on the other side is saying, I can do everything, but when it comes to supporting William Ruto, that is why I draw the line. Caleb Amisi is here. And you'll understand that now those events are not really attended by the soul of the ODM party. They're just attended by some few people here and there. Now, those rebel voices that are emerging within the Raila circle are also giving alternative voices. And it is time for that transition. And because in Kisii then, Matiang'i candidature will actually affect Raila Odinga's voice in the Western Kenya. It is a very critical one, because I wonder how Kisii have stood with Raila. Westerners stood with Raila. They will start demanding a talkback. I want you to imagine a situation where Matiang'i is in the ticket. Matiang'i is the presidential race. Then Ruto jumps and says, probably Raila jumps and says, Ruto tosha. You need to look at people like Kalonzo, people who stuck with Raila for almost 15 years. These are the people that wants to be president, and Raila is showing his back on them. How is he going to get away with all that? So that is a bit of what is causing the Raila team, the Raila base, to lose hope and not to stick with Odinga politics. Thank you.